Yo, what's up? We back. It's brand new year. Get a parables with myself, Mom Manasseh, and
Chris Clark.
so we took hiatus for a little bit. We wanted to get everything situated. We're going to grow this big time this year, and God has been staying on us crazy because we got an audience to feed, and we got people that we got to talk to, and because we got people we got to talk to, we got to do what we got to do. Um, it's important that we really have the understanding that this year and well last year and this year is about the sincerity of mental health. Mental health is a serious thing that people don't really take into account of how it affects everyday life. Even the strongest people that we've seen last year have been bombarded with negative thoughts and voices in their head and a lot of depression, especially in black men, definitely, which is the spirit that a lot of people don't want to diagnose. I mean, a lot of people try to diagnose with chemical imbalance. What it really is a spirit. Excuse me. And that spirit, if you do not have the authority of the power of Jesus Christ, you're not gonna be able to really deal with it the way you're supposed to. Every spirit has a doorway, and because every spirit has a doorway when it enters, you have to find the root of it. And sometimes the root is trauma. A lot of people don't want to diagnose their trauma. Their trauma is something that we as men we get told not to talk about it. We get told to push it down because when we talk about it, we get ridiculed or in our vulnerability whenever we speak to people about it, it gets brought back up in a way that is vindictive and it makes us put our guard up even more. I'm not gonna talk too much. What you gotta say about
Yeah, the mental health thing. 'Cause lately, I've been praying because lately, Satan been trying to attack me with like depression and discouragement. But the main thing in them situations, you gotta really maintain a relationship with God, um, and know how to pray, and read your Bible, and like you gotta fill yourself with positive and good things. But one thing really the main thing of maintaining mental health and knowing who you are, well, it's really finding your identity and making your reality, like talking to yourself and praying and knowing that you're stronger than your past or whatever you went through or whatever you're dealing with at that moment. um yeah, and that's the and one thing, yeah, society, especially like I know with black men too, they'll try to like they act out in certain ways or they do certain things because it's stuff on their mind that they told, oh, you're not a gangster, or you're not tough if you talk about it or if you explain how you feeling. One thing about it, I'll tell you as a real man, and I ain't never been scared of nothing or nobody. One thing about it, if you gotta cry, if you gotta talk to somebody, if you gotta whatever you gotta do, you know that's how you heal yourself, by like talking, by praying, by reading the Bible, by crying. It's that's you're human at the end of the day. And I feel like I didn't see the toughest people do this stuff that I didn't explain to you because they realize and they got knowledge. Like in order to set yourself free or to help yourself, that's how you mend those wounds that you need patched up.
exactly.
Because I'll be honest, like every time you can't really, especially nowadays, you can't really go to church. I mean, you can go to church, of course, but a lot of churches, either don't have the wisdom or the leadership isn't where it should be for you to go there and get help. So yeah.
Mm. And that's a warfare in itself because church is a place that we're supposed to be able to really be ourselves in. But church now, you got to keep your guard up because you don't know who is trustworthy and who's not trustworthy. You don't know who's being sent by the Lord and who's been sent by the enemy. That's why another key point that we always bring back and reiterate again and again is discernment on who to talk to and who not to talk to, and being able to decipher who is sent by God and who is being sent by the enemy. Um, Relationships is attacked by different demons, and those demons, especially when it comes to romantic relationships, is pride and Ahab and Jezebel and rebellion and rejection. Rejection is a big thing because rejection will really make you sabotage your relationships, whether it be romantic relationships, whether it be actual platonic friendships, or whether it be covenant relationships. And one thing, another thing too, Leviathan, pride goes before destruction. If you have too much pride and you don't want to swallow your pride, to understand that that person is sent by God in order to really help you to grow. And if you're not humble enough to really swallow your pride and become lowly, you will lose out on what God has for you. Literally, we live in a generation, well, a society where pride is so um, treasured, but oftentimes we see people who are so powerful get humbled quickly because they didn't want to humble themselves. So God allows life to humble.
Mm.
Uh, what's your take on stuff?
Um, I say another way, like with relationships, due to some of the past relationships I was in, I know that kind of like threw stuff off course that you gotta watch for is lust
Yeah.
in relationships, because you get in a relationship with somebody, or well, first, um, with relationships you gotta have discernment, because you'll know if you once you have discernment, you'll know if somebody is for you or not for you. You're supposed to be in that relationship with a person or not, because I know um, a lot of people, they get in relationships with people and they wanna help people that's hurting, or they wanna save them, but then it messes their life up, or then they start messing with each other in a relationship and they start having sex, which opens doors. That
Mm-hmm.
lust opens doors to confusion and leads to a lot of other things. That's why it's I know, based off some of my past relationships, that's why it's important to have, God on the inside of you, so you can hear, you can discern, whether that person's, for you or not. Because at the end of the day, all that stuff that you're doing within this relationship, you think that's just like, oh, you paying it to the side, or you love the person so much. Spiritually, that's gonna break you down the
Mm-hmm.
line. So it's more easy to, it's better to keep yourself pure and stay solid, you know, and have to deal, with extra baggage.
Uh, Main thing a lot of people don't talk about um, when it comes to just people people fornicating and stuff. You gotta have a license if you really want your relationship to be prosperous. You gotta have a license. A license is marriage. Um, I know in the world we hear, oh, marriage is so extreme, but it saves your relationship definitely if you invite God in and do it the right way. Marriage is already gonna be hard because it's two people come together as one, and you gotta put stuff to the side. You gotta really swallow your pride. You really have to humble yourself and understand that as a man, not, I mean, speaking from both parts, as a man, we as men, we are supposed to love our wives as Christ loved the church and lay down our lives for her. And as women, they are supposed to submit. And submission is a thing that people who don't have the proper understanding make it seem as though the woman is supposed to be your slave, and that's not the same. That's not how it's supposed to be. Yes, the woman is underneath you in a way where you look out for her, not as a servant, but you're responsible for. When a man takes on a woman and he takes her away from her father, you literally are standing in the place of her father. You're providing for her and everything, and you're supposed to look out for it. If you don't, you come under judgment for it because you made a covenant with God in order to do so. A lot of people don't talk about that. The church sweeps it under the rug because they have a business relationship with certain lifestyle in order to make money, and they excuse things in order for them to grow, and that hinders us, and that's what's been going on in society. We've allowed so many things to be excused. The church has now been rotted from the inside out, and people are not going into um, congregations no more. They're staying at home because they're afraid of being offended, or they've been church hurt so much that in order for them to stay um, from being hurt, they stay at home so that way they don't have to deal with it. But the word tells us we're supposed to iron sharpens iron. We gotta be able to grow with each other. You ain't supposed to forsake the assembly of the brethren at the end of the day because we gotta have each other's back. There's no such thing as a lone wolf because when a sheep goes by itself, you can get attacked. However, if the sheep is with the shepherd and you're with the other sheep, you have a chance to survive, especially because the shepherd is with you. Main thing is just wisdom, and wisdom and discernment go hand in hand because it saves your life, literally. Um,
Oh man, another thing too, why relationships, why having a relationship with God and having good discernment in a relationship is so important because I mean I ain't gonna lie, I've dealt with I've dealt with too with them voices in my head and Satan trying to mess up your thoughts and talk to you and if you don't got no wisdom or if ain't nobody if you can't decipher between then you'll just go with the lies. Well, because he'll try to like with relationships he'll try to so because of your trauma he'll try to keep you in a relationship where you're not wanted or you're not loved or you keep going through something with some person you just be like you'll just settle and be like oh well this is the one for me and I'm gonna put up with that because Satan be like oh ain't nobody better out there for you or this is what a real relationship is supposed to look like or this is what's gonna go on when if you can discern and you got you can hear the voice of God, He gonna tell you that those are lies,
mm-hmm.
and you gotta. One thing I know too before going to relationships, you gotta heal, you gotta love yourself. It's a process, but people want they want love so bad or they try to rush into love so quick, they just have all their problems and their baggage and they'll jump right into it, and it's sabotaging.
Exactly. Um, Key thing too, trauma is where demons like to hide at. If you have trauma that you have not resolved, you're more than likely are going to deal with stuff in your relationships, and it's going to, especially if the Lord sends someone to you, because what happens is we get hurt in past relationships. Number one, what we weren't supposed to deal with. Lessons is not always supposed to. Some of us is not even sometimes. It's a lot of times we disobedient because we want to have sex. Tell the truth, shame the devil. Um, and you don't have the proper license for it. And also, all this chaos happens. So if you have trauma from your past relationships, and you go into a new relationship with somebody that God sends for you, who is loving you properly, but because of the lack of healing, all the damage that that person did, you take it out on them, and that's not supposed to be the case at all. And it hinders you from growing. So you really have to be open to healing, open to deal with your trauma, open to repenting. I know repenting sometimes is not even sometimes repenting is viewed as a nasty word because it's humility, and people don't like humility. They want to walk in their pride, but not understanding humility is really where you get your blessing at.
Pride sends you straight to the cemetery.
Yeah, exactly.
If you willing to die with it, then go ahead.
The cemetery is full of prideful people. We as a society have been brainwashed into thinking that we can have our stuff and we don't have to heal from it. Especially men, we get told we have to be tough, tough. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we are supposed to be firm,
Protectors and
yeah.
providers, yeah.
But at the same time, we're human. Our helpmeet is there to really help us. And helpmeet is not always a. I won't. Nah, nah. I'll go from the fact of a friend and a helpmeet is different. Helpmeet is, excuse me, your spouse. This is a God ordained woman sent for you to help you in the way that you grow. Friends is somebody that God sends. Iron sharpens iron. You help each other. You grow with each other. That's a brotherhood thing. You don't really get too many friends like that because you really have to discern who's really who really has your best interest at heart and who's really playing behind the scenes on what they can get from you and what they can grow from you. Anything else you want?
Yeah, that thing with friends too. Cause I got a lot of I mean, well, I say I had a lot of friends, but over the course of the years since life has happened, I got people that I call my brothers that I've been locked in for a while, but just like kind of off topic, it was this video with Nipsey Hussle. He was like, being around, having people around you and trusting people around you that's been, battle tested. Because, no matter what your religion or, what you're doing in life, it's going to be trials and tribulations.
Mm-hmm.
So them people, them people that's going to stick it out with you and, ain't like when you're going through pain or you suffering, they ain't going to laugh at you or, try to leave you in the wind. That's going to, have your best interest. And it's going to fill you with, faith and, help strengthen your faith and fill you with positivity. Those are people. That's why I say I got brothers or I got family, loved ones.
Yeah.
Because friends,
friends are diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah. Proverbs it talks about a friend is really made in, I don't want to say tragedy, but in times of trial.
Yeah.
That's where you find out your true friends is. Everybody is with you when you got a new job, when you got the money, but a real friend is with you when things happen and you lose stuff and you don't know when to go on. That's when your friendship really comes. That's when the war really begins. That's who you get to decide. That's who you get to see who is really with you, who's not with you.
Oh, yeah, another thing too. One thing a lot of people, if you haven't noticed yet in your life, a lot of your friends or the people that was born outside of your family will be realer than your family members.
Mm-hmm.
Cause a lot of times your own family, like flesh and blood, wasn't. I mean, of course they're your family. The Lord born you into that family for a reason. But most of the times, your family isn't really there to love and support you like they should. They're there to strengthen you.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that in the Bible.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's you got to decipher. Because some people think just because they're my family, I got to stick it out. No, because all of your family, they're not going to be there and support you like they're supposed to.
No.
So you gotta. That's also where discernment comes in.
Mm-hmm. And we want to talk about this in our next episode. How being the black sheep of the family is really what sets you up for success with God and breaking generational curses. Because when you receive light and you begin to shine on the darkness in the family, that's when you really start going through because you want to change something that the enemy has been working behind the scenes and giving out trauma like packages, and you refuse yours. So now all eyes are on you because you have been enlightened by God in order to change the people who want to change. That's the main thing too. You can't force somebody to change. The people who want to change, the people who want to grow for you. Those who don't, God will take them from you. But those who want to change, those who want to grow, He'll guide you on the path with you. Um, Close remarks. Anything else you want to say for the goal?
That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right, then, y'all. This has been a good episode for um, Ghetto Parables. We're gonna be back this week talking about generational curses and how to break them, and understanding why certain things, why trauma is the gateway for the enemy to have a playground in your life. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Peace.